Legend of the Snow Engine. Written and told by Kiefer Adams. Winter had come to the island of Sodor, and with it came snow. The engines worked hard with their jobs, whether it be passengers or goods, but Thomas the tank engine grumbled dreadfully. He didn't mind working in the snow, but the fact he had to wear his snowplow, he didn't enjoy it. "Silly thing," Thomas grumbled. But all the same, he kept being really useful throughout the day, delivering coal trucks to the villages of the island. After a long day's work, he returned to the sheds, after having his buffers freed from a painful experience, so he thought, with his snowplow. Thomas returned to the shed just as the Fat Controller was giving the engines their last order of the day. "Heavy snow is due again tomorrow," he said. "You will all have to wear your snowplows." "But, sir," said Emily, "we won't be able to clear the snow in good time." "I know, Emily," said the Fat Controller, "and that's why I've asked Mardy to come and help." "Oh, the Mardy Monster's back," muttered Henry, remembering the trouble Bill and Ben had caused when he first visited. "Mardy has kindly volunteered to help," added the Fat Controller. "He'll be here tomorrow morning." He turned and left. "That's if the snow engine doesn't stop him," boasted James. "Oh, here we go," said Gordon. "What snow engine?" inquired Percy. "Yes, James, come on," said Edward. "Surprise us." "Don't you know?" boasted James. "The snow engine is a monstrous creature, a bit like a yeti or something like that. It is said that if you get stuck in the snow, snowplow or not, you get whisked away with his flurry of flakes, and you're never seen again." "What nonsense!" grunted Gordon. "Yes, I could have done a better story," said Henry. "Oh, could you?" Percy interrupted. The engines began to argue back and forth about James. But Thomas was worried. While he was grateful for Mardy to come and help, now he was worried about the snow engine, even if it was just a story made up by James. That night, Thomas had an awful dream. He dreamt he was clearing the track, but without his snowplow. He got stuck in the middle of nowhere, and the snow piled around his wheels and buffer beam. He then saw the snow engine. It was almost in his shape, but it glared at him with red beaming eyes. A dripping icicle above his shed woke Thomas up with a shivering start. "Oh, goodness!" he cried. All the other engines had already gone to work. But Thomas decided to get a drink and some coal before getting his snowplow fitted, and was determined to make the Fat Controller proud during another cold day. As Thomas was getting his drink, James rolled up beside him. "Ooh," he said in a rather spooky voice. "Look out for the snow engine today, won't you?" he teased. "James, why don't you go get stuck in a snowdrift yourself and stop bringing up that silly story?" said Thomas. "Work is more important, not tall tales." "Oh, you're no fun anymore," said James. "Where's the Thomas who used to be cheeky all the time?" Thomas just rolled his eyes as he had his drink. James just chuckled and puffed away. "I'd like to show him a thing or two about snow," grunted Thomas indignantly. Before long, Thomas had arrived at Knapford Yard to get his snowplow fitted. Toby was nearby. "Good thing I won't need a snowplow," he called. "My cow catchers can clear any drift." "They didn't when I rescued you that time," said Thomas. Toby laughed. "What's this about a snowy rescue?" asked a voice. Thomas and Toby beamed when Mardy came into the yard. He was mostly known as the Mardy Monster. Bill and Ben had certainly caused some trouble when Mardy first came to Sodor. "Hello, Mardy," said Thomas. "It's so good to see you again. Festive greetings." "Oh, thank you," replied Mardy. "You're in luck as well," replied Toby. The Fat Controller has a spare snowplow for you. Oliver was meant to help clear the track, but he's unwell. I'm sure you'll be all right." "Oh, well, thank you," replied Mardy. As Toby went to fetch the snowplow, Thomas told Mardy all about James and his snow engine. "Well, it seems monsters keep coming back to Sodor before I do," Mardy chortled. "Don't worry, Thomas. I might be able to arrange something." A little later, James had just finished clearing the track near Lower Sudbury. His buffers ached on the force of his snowplow, but James persevered. He stopped to have a rest just outside Maythwaite Station. "Oh, that's better," he sighed. "I wonder how many of the lads think the snow engine's real now." Unbeknownst to James, Mardy, now fitted with his own snowplow, crept up behind him. He chuckled to himself and took a deep breath. He closed his eyes, quietly rolled up beside James, and... Whoa! James jumped and shot forwards, realizing too late what was in front of him. "Yoicks!" he yelled. James burst into a snowdrift, and soon his snowplow was completely buried. "Help!" he shouted. "It's here! The snow engine's here! Please don't hurt me!" "Oh, well, a very good hello to you too, James," chuckled Mardy as he rolled alongside. James went as red as his paintwork. "Oh, hello, Mardy," he whimpered. "Sorry about that," said Mardy, "but I wasn't sure what a snow engine's call sounded like. Don't worry, we'll get you out." James shivered all the while as his crew and Mardy's prepared to dig him out. It felt like ages. By the time Thomas arrived, James had been dug free, but he was covered in snow. His cheeks were almost as blue as Thomas's snowplow. "Hello, James," said Thomas. "So you're the snow engine, are you?" "Absolutely not," James shivered feebly. "Well, anyone can make that mistake," said Mardy, giving Thomas a wink. "Edward says his line needs clearing," said Thomas. "Shall we go and help?" "Of course," replied Mardy. "After you, Thomas." The two engines puffed away side by side. James shivered. "Don't leave me!" he cried, and he hurried after them. When James returned to the shed that evening, he was still covered in snow and feeling rather chilly. The other engines laughed. As Mardy pointed out, James's snowy makeover could have been an attempt to scare the snow engine off. But of course, Thomas and Mardy really knew what happened.